Welcome back, Outriders, and today I'm coming at you with another guide build video regarding the Pyromancer. We're pretty much going to be focused on the debuff portion of the Pyro today. Pretty much this is a community build that my entire community, including myself, runs when we need a debuff in Eye of the Storm or Frontline or Paxton, Scorchlands, whatever it may be. This build will pretty much just help your teammates destroy the competition. Unfortunately, yes, it does take some legendaries in order to get it right, but right off the bat, as long as you're running 3 tier 1 mods, you will have at least a 75% debuff, and that is perfect, just enough to get you started. But like I said, those legendaries, they can be tricky, very tricky to find. I have a lot of people in the community that have spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours farming for these pieces. The only way I think my community was able to keep grinding for these legendaries is straight up just pounding advanced GG all day. This stuff is amazing. You gotta give it a try. Use code IMPACT, save yourself a little money. Not only that, the chill is back in stock and it is incredible. Gotta give it a try. But let's go ahead, let's get into the video. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and look at the skills that you're going to want to use for this particular build. The first one you're gonna want to use, which is huge, is Heat Wave. You're gonna summon a Fury Wave that deals 27,000 damage and inflicts burn onto all enemies in its path. This is a big one. You will actually end up having 3 heat waves, which will actually deal 25% on each one, which will give you that 75% debuff off the rip. We'll go ahead and get into that shortly. But the second one you're going to want to use is Overheat. Okay, this deals 7,000 damage to all enemies within a large radius and interrupts their skills. Enemies afflicted with burn receive 91 or pretty much 92,000 damage instead, and the burn will be consumed. All right, now you can switch this out if you wanted to use Ash Blast, but that requires a number of different mods, including Death Sentence and so on, to use. I myself and others in the community like to run Overheat. We do believe it is the best because it also has another one mod that allows you to, every time you use it, it gives 30% extra weapon damage for you and your party. So I like to use that one because I do run with a lot of technos. All right, let's get into the last one, the Thermal Bomb. This is the big granddaddy of them because this is what we'll be using the mod Branded on, which will give you that 40% using that Thermal Bomb. You will also have another mod that gives you another one once it's done. So you'll actually have 2 Thermal Bombs hitting at 40. So that's just incredible. So your debuffs are going to be coming directly from Heat Wave and Thermal Bomb, and then your Overheat will be adding an extra 30% weapon damage on top of that. And the Thermal Bomb will select an enemy to burn, interrupt, and deal 26k damage too. If killed while still infected by the skill, the enemy will explode, dealing 228k damage within a large radius. Okay. This build is not necessarily going to be revolved around damage at all. This is a purely debuff build that you're going to use to go into expos like Frontline and Eye of the Storm and stuff, and just allow your team to absolutely just steamroll the entire expo. So I absolutely love this. Pyros are the best in my eyes. Just because they don't have the damage, the only reason why you have that much damage is because of a debuff Pyro. But those are the skills that you're going to want to use for this set. Let's go ahead and get into the next part, which is the class list. Let's go. All right, Outriders, so now we're going to be looking into the class tree. For this build, we're going to be using the bottom tree, not the middle, the bottom tree, the Tempest tree on the bottom. Now remember, this build, just based off the Heat Wave and the Thermal Bomb, will give you the most insane amount of debuff that you're going to need for any expo. Okay, so this is pretty much will get you through anything. It doesn't matter. Anything else besides this is just added on. Okay, the Ash, that whole thing. It could just be added onto this using different mods and but we're going to be focused on the bottom tree using the Tempest line. We're going to go ahead and head down here, grab the 1, the 2, All right, come down here, then we're gonna go up, make sure we're gonna grab this one. This is gonna decrease our cooldowns. Cooldowns is gonna play a big part in this build because you wanna make sure you can keep popping those, you know, debuffs for your teammates. All right, then you come down, we're gonna take the top one, and then go here, and then we're gonna go up one again. All right, this is an increase the damage by 20% against enemies below 30% health. This is gonna work very well with our moaning winds and the little damage that we will put out using that moaning winds. And you know, the debuffs that we put out after we put them out, you use that moaning winds, you know, you will be critting for over a mil with it. All right, so then you're gonna keep going. You're gonna grab this bottom one, which is gonna increase your weapon and anomaly power. All right, then you're gonna take this one, increasing more anomaly power, and then you're gonna go down one. Okay, activating explosive skills, increase your anomaly power by 12% for 10 seconds. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take that one. Then we're gonna come up, go here, get some skill leech for 6%. All right, then we're gonna take this for another 6% anomaly power. All right, then we're gonna grab this one down here, the nesting. Upon losing all health, you will receive a second chance to return to the battlefield with 50% max health. Phoenix can revive you every 180 seconds. I myself find this amazing because in like Boomtown, Frontline, and you know, those crazy ass ones that, you know, it gives you that second chance, you know, without actually having to die and revive, which I believe is fantastic because you do not run not one defensive mod in this build. All right, so we're gonna go on. We're gonna go back up. We're gonna take a little resistance piercer, and we're gonna finish out the entire tree with the 4, using the increased damage to elites, using the increased skill damage by 8% against marked enemies, and the increased explosive skill base damage by 30%. And the reduced explosive skill cooldown by 15. Once again, cooldown plays a big part because you want to make sure that you keep able to keep debuffing as you go. You're going to go through your debuff rotation, then you're going to hit your moaning winds on all 3 weapons if you can, and then you're going to go back and hit your debuff rotation again, and you're just going to keep going through that rotation over and over. All right, well, that does it for the class tree. Once again, you're taking the bottom tree. The Tempest tree is what we're going to use for this build. All right, guys, let's go ahead and look at the mods and the gear that we're going to be using for this. The most important part. Let it go. All right, Outriders, let's get into the most important part, which is going to be the mods and the gear for the build. First thing we're going to be looking at is the weapons, and yes, you are going to need a death shield. I know that can be very detrimental to the build, as it is very difficult to find a death shield, as most of you, if you are still playing the game, absolutely already damn know that is very difficult. I was lucky enough to get some on my Techno and move it over to my Pyro, which thank God for that, otherwise I would have been screwed. But the first thing we're going to be looking at obviously here is the death shield, and what we need here is the mod off of it, Fortress. All right, you receive up to a 43% damage bonus based on your armor. All right, that is amazing. Great boost for great damage boost for yourself, which you're gonna need, you know, especially because you're a debuff pyro, you're not focused on damage, but you still need to at least put out some damage, you know. All right, and then you're going to go ahead and match that with moaning winds. Moaning winds will come on the Aminoy. I always forget how to say this gun's name, but it comes on this gun. It's called Moaning Winds. All right, now what happens is every single time that you reload with an 8-second cooldown, right, it's going to give a burst of like damage around you for almost 400k, 387k damage to enemies in range of 8 meters. All right, and that's with an 8-second cooldown. All right, so you're going to see right here that I have Moaning Winds and Fortress on my Death Shield. I have Moaning Winds and Fortress on my Animoy. I have Moaning Winds on my pistol. All right, now it's not the best pistol. I just threw this on there because it was the highest one I had. I didn't even upgrade it to purple. It is what it is. But you are going to want to put Moaning Winds on your pistol as well. Now, unfortunately, they did fix it where you cannot run dual death shields. The cooldown does have a share with the same weapon, so you cannot do that. So we are going to use these 3 weapons. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put out my rotation, which is going to be 2 thermal bombs. I'm going to hit my overheat. And then I'm going to go 3 heat waves, the 3 heat waves that I will have. And that's going to bring my whole debuff out, right? And that's going to be my rotation, all right? Which I'm going to show you in a little bit, all right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to empty my death shield. I'm going to empty all my guns to 0. So they're at that reload animation, you know what I mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go through my debuff, thing, and then I'm going to whip out my gun, right? And it's already going to be in the reload animation. So I'm just going to scroll. I'm just going to change my weapons. It's going to give a burst. I'm going to change my weapons to this one, which is going to be in the reload animation as well. It's going to give a burst, right? Then I'm going to quickly switch back to my pistols before either of these ever actually get reloaded every time. They're going to have 0 in the chamber in your thing every time. All right, you're just going to keep it blank. So every time you just switch to the weapon, it's going to give that Moaning Winds proc, that burst of, almost 400k damage. Now you can have that proc and crit for a lot higher. I'm talking over 1 million and more that Moaning Winds can hit for. That is going to be your straight up damage for the build is going to strictly come from your Moaning Winds and how high your anomaly power is. Mine is only at 157k as I do not have it fully maxed out with all the attributes and the right exact pieces I want, but it's completely built perfect. Eye of the Storm, every expo, it does not matter. You're getting an amazing debuff. So those are the weapons that you're going to want to be using. Let's go ahead and move over to the physical gear that you're going to want. This build will use a 3-piece Akari. You do not have to technically use the 3-piece Akari for the debuff build, as it, it doesn't grant you a debuff of anything like that. Every enemy damaged by heat wave grants 50% anomaly power bonus for 10 seconds, which sure does burst my anomaly power by 50%, which is a lot out of 150 that I already have. So I like to use the set bonus. It works real well, but you don't necessarily have to. What you're more focused on here is the mods that you're going to be running. All right, now we're going to go through it. I have the helmet of Akari. All right, you're always going to want everything to have anomaly power if you can. If you can, you want everything to have anomaly power as much as you can. As you see here, I do have all 5 pieces with anomaly power. You're also going to want to be looking for cooldown reduction because, like I said, cooldown reduction plays a big part in the build, as you do want everything to come off cooldown very quickly, because the more it comes off cooldown, the more you can debuff for your team. All right, so the first mods I'm going to be running with are Fire Tsunami, which increases the heat wave, the width of it, which makes it even longer, meaning you hit more enemies with one shot. All right, then I'm going to be running Burnout. All right, Burnout is one of the most important mods in this build. It is a tier 1 mod. Now, without this Burnout mod, this build is not debuffing at all, unless in, your thermal bomb, that's different. But for heat wave, your heat wave will not be debuffing a damn thing if you do not run the Burnout tier 1 mod. All right, this actually turns the heat wave into a debuff. All right, Burnout, heat wave, damage enemies take 25% more damage for 8 seconds. This stacks. So there is another mod. There's actually 2 other tier 1s mods that you will see shortly that both give you another heat wave. So at the end of the build, you actually have a total of 3 heat waves that you can use that will each give you 25% more damage to the enemy. So right there, you're stacking 75% debuff on that enemy using those 3 heat waves. But you must have Burnout on. All right, that is a crucial must. All right, let's go ahead and go down to the chest piece. Once again, anomaly power. I'm using skill life leech, and I'm using cooldown reduction as usual because I want that cooldown to be as quick as I possibly can. All right, the first one we're going to be looking at here is the branded mod. All right, branded is one of the biggest ones because this is going to give you that 40% more damage to enemies affected by the skill. Okay, 40% on top of the 75. All right, so you hit that thermal bomb, you hit those 3 heat waves, you got 40 and 75 plus 40. You know, you got a pretty damn good debuff. That's all you'll really need. All right, everything after that is more of, you know, an additive, you know, added onto it. All right, that mod will come off the armor of the Reforged, which also is very difficult to get. So just keep grinding, Outriders, and I swear it will come to you. You will get it. All right, the next mod you're going to be looking at here is called Tidal Wave. All right, Heat Wave, the skill can be activated one more time before triggering the cooldown. Right there, that is your first extra tidal wave. So right now, between the head and the chest, you'll have 2 heat waves ready to go. All right, so the tidal wave is the first one that's going to give you an extra one, and there's also another tier 1 mod that's going to give you another one with a total of 3. All right, so let's move on. We're going to also run with the Akari legs as well, with anomaly power, cooldown reduction as always, and skill life leech. On this one, I'm actually going to be running Master Consumer. It's for overheat. This skill consumes either burn or ash status to deal damage, consuming both at once, increases the damage to 150%. All right, this allows me to do, you know, just a little more damage, hopefully, you know, because as this build is completely focused more around the debuff side and having your teammates do the mass damage. All right, the other one we're looking at, which comes on the legs, is called the Anomaly Echo. It grants about 3,276 firepower and 11,000 anomaly power bonus for skill activation for 15 seconds. So every time I activate a skill, it's going to give me a anomaly and firepower buff, which is fantastic. Anomaly power more so than firepower, because, you know, you're pretty much, it's all anomaly. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the hands. The hands and the feet, I will not be running a legendary, but you could if you wanted to. These mods can be mixed up between all the pieces. It's just about getting the mods you need for it. All right, once again, with the gloves, I got anomaly power, skill life leech in close range. I'd rather have cooldown reduction, but unfortunately, that's what I'm working with at the moment. That will be changed, but the actual mods you're going to be running are going to be called a Fire Frenzy. This is what was on it. These gloves are not perfect and will be changed. All right, but what I am running on it that actually means something is 3rd degree. Increases weapon damage against enemies damaged by the skill for 30% for 5 seconds. All right, this is what I was talking about with the overheat. This is actually, along with our debuffs, this is going to give us and our teammates an extra 30% extra weapon damage. I like to use this over the Ash Blast because I like giving my teammates a little more something 30% for their troubles, you know what I mean? So we're going to be using the 3rd degree there, which is going to be our new buff for our overheat. All right, moving on to the feet. What we're going to be running here is Hellfire and Ride the Wave, anomaly power, close range, and status. Once again, these feet aren't perfect at all either. Besides my legendary pieces, these 2 purples are going to be changed, but the mods are going to be staying mostly the same. All right, as the build structure is pretty much Ride the Wave, Ride the Tide, Branded, Burnout. Those 4 mods are what's going to give you your debuff, your pure debuff. So those 4 mods are the ones that you're going to want to make sure are on your build. Once again, you're going to want to need Burnout. You're going to need Branded, Tidal Wave. You're going to need Ride the Wave. All right, Ride the Wave. All right, Ride the Wave is what's going to give you the 3rd and your last heat wave. Your 3rd and your last heat wave. All right. This is going to give you all together. It's going to give you, if you look at it here, we're going to have 3 heat waves for 25 each for a debuff. We're going to go have here, which is going to give us the 30% extra for weapon damage for our team. Then we're going to have our thermal bomb, which is 2 of them, 1 thermal bomb, 2 thermal bomb. That's your rotation. So if I was going to go in to a boss and I was going to fight him, right, I would pop the middle, right? I would hit him with 2 thermal bombs, and then I would ride and hit that heat wave for 3. That is a full debuff rotation right there. Now, as I was saying before, when it comes to the weapon and the moaning winds, as you'll see, my gun right here, I'm going to release all the rounds into it. I'm going to keep it at 0. This one's already at 0. So now you see both of my guns are at 0, right? So now I'm going to switch to my pistols. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go hit my freaking, my thing as I go. My freaking build thing, right? We're going to hit all of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch to my gun. You see the pop? You see the pop again? Then I'm going to switch back to my pistols. All right. You can check it out in the footage from before as we were running through it. But as you'll see, we're going to go through the rotation once again. For some reason, I keep drawing a blank when it comes to this name, Overheat. So what you're going to do is you're going to run up to a boss, whatever it's on Frontline, Eye of the Storm, it does not matter. You're going to go ahead and hit that Overheat until they get that 30%. You're going to hit him with two thermal bombs, which are going to give you 40% debuffs. Then you're going to hit him with three 25% debuffs for heat wave. Then you're going to go ahead, boom, use your moaning winds, use your moaning winds on your other one, then switch back to your pistols. Once again, your pistol actually does it as well. So you're going to pretty much just leave your guns at 0, as you see the whole time. Because every time you switch to it, when it's at 0, it's going to proc moaning winds. All right, for every 8 seconds. So it gives you enough time. You go through your rotation, right? You go through the rotation, boom, proc moaning winds. When they're all debuffed, proc moaning winds again, and then proc it again with your pistols, and then boom, go through your rotation again, and you are solid debuff damage rotation for any single expo that you are running. Your team will absolutely fucking love you. All right. Now, I've heard of pyros getting kicked out of lobbies, you know, because of them not doing the damage, yet the other person has double the damage they would usually do, and they think, oh, they're just great. No, that's not the case. Pyro is there. Our boy Pyro was debuffing everything for you, giving you that damage. So before you go think about kicking another Pyro, remember, Pyros are the best class here. They help every other class succeed. I hope you love the build, Outriders. Thank you so much for coming by. I stream 5 days a week over on Twitch. We run with the community the entire day. You can use !join in the chat to go ahead and run with us. It is amazing. I love all of you. I hope you enjoyed the build. Hope you enjoyed the debuff. Till next time, peace, Outriders.